For this example, we are going to pretend that we're sending an invitation to our customers. We're going to assume that we've already made sure that we had complete contact information for each of our guests. Since we're starting from email, that would mean making sure that we have the email address. And also, we're going to use first names. So we want to make sure that we have the first name of everyone in our mailing list. We're also going to make sure that we have consistent formatting. So we want to make sure that everyone's first name is capitalized. Also, if it was applicable, we might want to add categories to each of our customers. That would make it easy to make sure that the right person is showing up in our view when we go to select our contacts. We're going to remove duplicates because we don't want customers to receive this mail merge or automated email more than once. And we also would have the option to add any custom fields. For instance, if we wanted to give information that was specific to each customer. But we're not going to show that. We're going to assume that all of that is already done. We're going to go over to our people menu and we're going to go to our home tab. We're going to go to the actions group and we're going to select mail merge. So the mail merge dialog box will appear and we'll see that we have 5 different options that we can modify. We have contacts options, and for this example we're going to choose all contacts in current view. We also have fields to merge, so we could choose which fields we want to include. We're also going to include all contact fields. Next, we have the document file section, and this comes in handy if you want to reuse an existing document. But for this example, we're going to use the same document. We're going to create a new document from scratch. Next, we have the contact data file. We're not going to use that in this example either. Finally, we have our merge options. Here we have the option to use form letters, mailing labels, envelopes, or catalog. Since we're sending a form letter in the form of email, we're just going to stick with form letter. Next, we have what we want to merge to. So this will come in handy if we were going to create a new document that we would send in the mail or if we were sending something to the printer. In this example, because we're talking about email, we're going to select email. And since we're using email, we're going to do a subject line. So since our example is inviting our guests to a party, we're going to use the subject line, "You're invited." So now that we have all of our options selected, we're going to click OK. Now that we've clicked OK, you'll notice that a Microsoft Word document appears. So now that we have this Word document, we can type anything just like we would with any other Word document. So again, we're pretending that this is an invitation to our customers. So we're going to say we are invited to an event on November the 21st. Please RSVP if you'd like to attend. Since we're in Word, we can do anything that we could do in Word. But for this example, we're going to keep it pretty simple. Now we're going to insert a picture. We're going to use a stock picture. And since we're talking about an event, we're just going to pick something with balloons or something so that it looks a little bit festive. But again, we're in Microsoft Word, so we can use any of the options that will be available to us in Word. So let's format that a little bit better. And so now our letter is exactly the way that we like it. So now that we have this, we can go back to our mailing tab and then we can make sure we have the proper recipients. So in this example, we're going to use choose from our existing Outlook contacts. So we'll go and we'll select that, and we're going to select our two contacts. And so now we're going to use some of those fields we talked about earlier. So we're going to come up to Insert Merge Field, and we're going to click First Name because we want to include first name. But you notice we have all these options that are included in those particular contacts. So we have extra fields, those some of those custom fields. We could use zip codes, we could use web pages. It just depends on what fields we'd like to use. But for this, we're just going to keep it simple and use first name. So now that we've chosen our mail merge fields, what we're going to do is we're going to preview our results. So you'll notice that we have our first names for John Doe and our rainwater growth. Now that we're happy that our fields show up just the way that we like it and that our email is fine, we're going to go over to Finish and Merge and click Send Email Documents. Notice that there's an option to edit individual documents. So this comes in handy if something just doesn't format right, and you can go in, you still have the option to go in and make those minor adjustments, but it still saves you time because the basic part of the document was completed for you. So let's go ahead and click Send Email Messages. We're going to check. We want it to go to email. We want the subject line to be You're Invited, and we want the format to be HTML. We want to send to all records, so we're going to go ahead and click OK. And you notice that it subtly changed. So we're done. So we can go ahead and close Word and return to Outlook. And for this example, we're not going to save. But if you wanted to use this again, you could hit save, and then next time you could use that when you get the option to load an existing document. So if we go back to our inbox, you'll notice that waiting in our outbox, you'll see our two documents that we just did. If our mailbox was connected, they'd be in our sent folder.